Hi, guys. Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm typing sideways because I'm like that, and JP's not here to hold me back. Just kidding. um, guys, I'm just finishing this. This is, I can't spell candidates. Thank you, autocorrect. We're going to just tear apart the old voting plan today. We've got a couple things to do. Did my pen go? Librarian chic. Well, thank you. I don't know any librarians that wear a Misfits t-shirt, but I'll take it. So guys, obviously I am alone today. I have been forsook, and let me just make sure that I am okay. I'm good, right? You guys can hear me. You guys can see me. I get a little nervous when JP's not here because I feel like, things could happen. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is Between Two Nerds. We're an offshoot of nerdsvote.com, and we are all about voter registration and information and education, and we're a nonpartisan group, and we are just here to have some notable nerd chat. We like to bring notable nerds on and talk a little bit about voting, a little bit about food, quarantine, whatever. So if you have questions, you can put them in the little question box down below. And we will get to work here in just a second. I am so excited because our guest, oh no. So if our guest is on a desktop, then our guest needs to move to an iPad or a phone. Hee. Hold on. Why now? You are on both. How exciting. Okay, well, it says you're unable to join. So hold on. Let me try it. Now it says yes. Ladies and gentlemen, from YouTube, the YouTube sensation, the gaming sensation, the person that you're here to listen to, not me, who's coming on, maybe? Yes!
We're in there. We did it.
Got a little nervous there for a second.
I was too. You were talking and I was like, oh no, is something supposed to come through or?
I was like,
we're good.
Oh, I'm going to have to babble for a minute while I try and fix this, and that is never good. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Gorgeous beard. Make me jealous. So
Thank
jealous.
you.
Are you in your booth?
I'm in one corner of one room of my apartment. So yeah, kind of.
So you've got a whole thing, obviously. Okay, so just for people who, there's a couple things that need to happen right now. So the debates are actually starting right now. So if you haven't put your, I don't know what you record your shows on. If you haven't put it on and you want to watch the debates, you don't need to leave us. You could just skip all the commercials. That's what I'm going to do. But go ahead and put it on because that's part of research is good. And if you don't want to watch the debates, that's fine. The pinned comment today is just do some research. If you don't want to watch the debates, get ready. This thing is happening in like a month. Like, we got to go. So get that voting plan together. And, but you can watch the debates later and you can watch us now because we've got Jesse Cox here. And if you're just joining us because Jesse Cox is here, I'm Courtenay Taylor, and this is Between Two Nerds, and I'm missing a nerd because we're filming a thing and for more content, and it had to be done tonight. So JP Karliak is not with us, but this is Between Two Nerds. It's an offshoot of nerdsvote.com, which was started by voice actors in video games and stuff like that to try and get the word out to vote. So, and now we have the gorgeous and talented and funny and amazing Jesse Cox. So Take it away, Jesse.
Oh, you playing. Oh, you playing with me. Yeah, it's wonderful to be here. I'm excited to, I am a former teacher, so especially I was a history teacher. So getting people excited about voting is like a thing for me. I'm very passionate about civic engagement.
There is a direct correlation between history teachers and people who love video games, isn't there?
I think
Because
maybe.
Ash Sevilla is also a former history teacher that gone to the dark side, and he is he does the Nerd Appropriate channel on Twitch. So it's
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I feel like we teach a little bit and then we're like, well, that's the hardest job ever. I'm gonna just go play video games, and that's what we do. Yeah.
well, it must have been nice while it happened because you could actually talk to your students about stuff that they liked, and maybe like if I was a history teacher, I'd assign some video games that were historically, I wouldn't
You
say, but
you would think actually I did have one game that I loved. Game is a relative term. I guess it was gamified. It was a game where a student would just press start and they'd randomly be born into the world, and it was based off of real-time data and statistics and population totals, and each turn would be like a year in that person's life, and they wouldn't get to choose their name because they'd be named by their parents in the game, and they'd have to make choices and decisions, and as they aged up they would have less and less opportunity to make choices in what they did based on choices they made in the past. And so in about, sometimes it could go minutes. Sometimes people would live to be like 95, and sometimes people would make it to like 13, and then something terrible would happen. And you'd be like, I mean, I guess you could try again and try a new life. And they're like, oh, but they'd have to do, sort of a report on who their person was and how they chose to live their life. And they could do everything from being born in India and then moving to Germany to open a bakery. I remember one student did, and they were really proud they opened a bakery, and I was like, that's great. It's fascinating, things like that. So I've definitely used games in the past to show people kind of like what the world is like and how they can connect beyond the classroom.
well, that is the people in the chat are going crazy. It's Empire Earth. Yes. Is this Empire
It's
Earth?
not Empire Earth. It was a game called like Real Lives. It was an educational game. It was specifically designed to be educational and not just like, and then we invade, right? It wasn't like that.
Well, close. And just another way that video games can be educational,
Sure.
because obviously we get a little ration of shit from time to time about, games are bad, but I think
Right.
games are great. That's one of the things I really love about games is that it can put you in other people's shoes, and it does get you sort of excited about other time periods and geographical locations and stuff. I think it could be a really amazing tool, but probably they only start getting really fun when you get to college and you can like take historical perspectives in video games or something like that, because they'll have a teacher like you who's like, I'm just going to go ahead and do a curriculum that serves my needs.
I've said this before. I'll say it again. If anyone wants a really good college paper, this is from me to you, students. Compare and contrast the Alliance versus the Horde and the diplomatic political troubles in the Middle East. You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's a thesis, actually, for your PhD. You're
Yep.
welcome.
You're welcome. I'm just saying, the Lions and Horde be fighting, and it goes back a long time. Why do players gank each other? Like, that guy doesn't know that guy. I'm just saying, there's a lot there. You're welcome.
Guys, we do so much on this show. We talk about food. We talk about potential, jobs in voiceover. We talk about history, PhD stuff. We've had quite a few drag queens on, and we've talked about doing shows with them. We kick around TV ideas. There's nothing that's off limits here. So, it's kind of great. And yet another little perk, guys, because you're not watching the debates right now. You're watching us.
We'll try to keep you sane for the next hour, but after that, you're on your own.
Right.
If you tune in, it's on you.
Right. And I don't have JP here to hold me back, as I said earlier. So guys, if you have questions for Jesse, there's a little question box at the bottom. It has a little question mark in it. And it's easier for me to look in the box and pin it so he can see it as well. But you can also throw it in the chat as well. Glass Mermaid's Tale says, I had a college class that followed the evolution of zombies in popular culture. It was amazing.
Yeah.
These are the colleges we need to go to, kids.
Liberal
arts.
I loved college classes like that. I took one that was, because I was big into history, so I took one that was an English class, but it was all stuff written by Vietnam vets or people in the Vietnam War. And it was fascinating to see their different perspectives and stuff. And I was like, of course I want to take this because, having a dad who was in Vietnam, but he's never ever wanted to talk about it. Getting the perspective of what kind of people like him went through was fascinating. So, it's not very similar to zombies, but it's college. You can kind of choose what you want to take and then what sort of inspires you. And that's why I love a good deep dive into college classes. I think one time I saw a college class that was analyzing the show Lost, and I was like, I have to know what that class is, but I would love to take it. Yeah.
High school sucks. And then you get to college and you're just like, I mean, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I went to Berkeley High at one point and we had ping pong for gym class. It was like sports of the world or something. And Berkeley High might be slightly different, but yeah, college is where it's at. Because if you have really good professors, you can spin anything. You're like, hey, this is what I'm going to do because I'm really into, I'm going to bring the fashion element into this or whatever. And they're like, just entertain me.
Yeah.
They've got so many students. They're just like, come on.
Yeah. The thing I discovered is the more education the higher you move up the education ladder. When I got my master's degree, I realized that no one really, I don't want to say cared. It wasn't about caring. It was they just expected you to know what you were doing. So I had my final at a coffee shop. I walked in, gave a notebook of everything I had done, and she was like, oh yeah, this is good. So what do you want to get to drink? And I was like, is this my final?
They got booze in here?
It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute. So if I go for a PhD one day, what is that going to be like? Am I just?
It's in a bar. It's in a bar. You're going to defend your PhD in Sharky's bar in Manhattan Beach.
That sounds like the best thing imaginable. I feel like Dr. Cox is on his way. I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
I desperately want to know if that, I can't even say what you said earlier, but if that is not your PhD dissertation, I'm really curious to know what your second choice will be.
Great question. Something equally entertaining, probably in video games. Yeah, I would.
Yes.
I don't know I wonder how many PhDs related to video games there are. I'd love to know that answer.
What's interesting is I got approached by a guy who was doing his PhD in vocal stress, and it was particular to he's an Australian guy, and he's in Queensland somewhere, and he that was his thing, and I met him at a convention, and then I ended up hooking him up with a bunch of video game actors because he was obviously we don't stress our voices out too much doing a Cheerios commercial, but and so it was particular to game actors and stuff. So I think it's going to be more and more as people are like, hey, this is actually, it's the biggest source of entertainment. It's the biggest revenue maker. I'm not telling you don't know, but it's a big deal. So it would make more sense for people to give it a little more respect on that note.
It'll never, poor gaming, it'll never get respect as long as it's seen as the thing your kid plays, right? It'll never happen. Although the average gamer is 30 something. So I don't know. It's a weird stat where the average gamer is in their 30s, but it's mostly seen as the thing your kid does. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just those things where it's like whoever, whatever the most dynamic visual is for it, because they're like, really? Like your, 35-year-old mom is playing video games after she gets home from work being a nurse. They're like, that doesn't fit the narrative. We want like, the guy who's like 18 in his mom's basement, that tired ass.
Right.
And if it doesn't kind of fit into that, they're just going to be like, meh, it's not as interesting or as tropey or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's totally changing, because every time I go to conventions, it's amazing how many people I see. It's like family entertainment. Lots of people are like, they do stuff with their kids. It's so great. I sometimes when I'm at Dragon Con, I'll judge the video game cosplay contests. And it's so great because they've got these people doing like 1,000-hour builds with their dads or their moms, like wives and husbands and stuff. So it's totally changing, and I love
Yeah.
that it's become far more beyond what everyone who doesn't game or doesn't know anything about the industry wants to think it is. That everybody's just dumb and just sitting in front of Red Dead Redemption for 17,000 hours. And
I mean, that part's not inaccurate. That is roughly how long Red Dead is. That's roughly how long that game is.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different flavors of people who, and so I love hearing about all the different statistics now that are like, it's 50-50 between men and women. They're like, no, it can't be. It's only for dudes. And then
actually, I had heard that among younger gamers, there are actually more young women playing.
Really?
Is what I think maybe because the mobile market is growing so rapidly.
Yeah.
But I seem to recall that it was the last statistic I read was like they're like young. I don't want to put an age range on it, but I think it was like 10 and under. There are just more young girls playing than young boys, and I was like,
yeah, it definitely it's. I would be curious to see the breakdown between mobile games and standalone. Just to see, but it's taking over everything. So
yeah.
To answer a couple of questions. I'm so sorry, V'ger, you want to know when T-shirt orders will be shipped? I just got word that my Nerds Vote package of shirts is being shipped to me, so I should have it on Thursday, and I will be shipping them out. So thank you very much for your patience. If you guys have bought Nerds Vote T-shirts at our nerdsvote.com/shop. They are, we sold out. You guys crushed it after NVRD Day, after National Voter Registration Day. I was like, oh, we're out of everything. I was like calling everyone. I'm like, I need everything, all of it, more, lots more. So, bless you.
I got this. It's the deals. Oh, they got me. Oh, such good. Hey, as an owner of said shirt, I made a terrible choice and wore it yesterday, which doesn't make any sense because today would have been the actual right day to wear it. But, yeah, I'm an idiot. But
you can wear it other times. It is washable, and
you're right. You're right.
You don't strike me as somebody who's like worn once and done. So the great thing about it is you can wear it over and over again. This is one of the bonuses of these T-shirts.
Yeah.
They are laundry friendly. And also, unless your friends are jack holes and are like, wow, you already wore that. I feel like the Nerds Vote thing has a real timeless aspect to it because we want you to keep voting all the time. So you can just keep wearing it again and again. I mean, I'm not wearing mine. I'm wearing my Misfits T-shirt, so.
I'm wearing a Star Wars T-shirt, so we in it.
Yes. Yeah. X-winging it.
Yeah.
It was just there. It was just there. So hello everybody, and let's see. Hold on, I'm just looking. Normally I have JP here, and he will look at questions.
It's all right. We can,
But I'm, if you see some interesting questions, just, pick them out. Pick them out. We have, Cougar 335 hitting right away with a voting question. How would you recommend doing research on which candidates to vote for this election? I'm assuming the end of that sentence is, it's my first election that I can vote in. Excellent question.
Yeah.
I can jump in, or Jesse, do you have some ideas?
Well, I think the first thing I would recommend is, before anything else, when it comes to looking up information on the internet, find sources you trust well in advance. Just when it comes to everything on the internet, things that are researched and be it the article or in the information presented, there's some sort of footnote or citation or something that says any of this information we got came from here, rather than just like, here's my opinion on the matter. And there's a lot of that. Everyone has an opinion.
Say.
Yeah. So this would not be things like blogs or a Facebook post or like avoid
from your cousin in New Jersey.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, but yeah, receipts are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
And once you find places that you trust and you've verified, and it does require a little work on your part, because there's a lot of places that look like they're official and legit, and that's their whole gimmick, is they're trying to do that to make you think that whatever information they're presenting is real, and it's totally not. But once you find these places and once you have things you trust and sources you trust, then you can use them as resources for information on the different candidates. Also, even though both sides are going to spin things, if you want to check out their websites, hopefully they'll have information that's sort of a deeper dive on what their policies are and what they intend to do. But of course, if you go to a website of a candidate, it's going to be spun in like the best way for them. But as long as you know that going in, you can kind of see, all right, this is what this person says they're going to do. This is what this person says they're going to do. And yeah, there's many resources that exist out there that are really well put together and sort of define things for you. But there's also a lot of, going back to the word, there's a lot of spin. There's a lot of things that exist that might leave out a word or two that suddenly changes the context of everything that you're reading.
It's like a movie review.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like a movie review, where they're just like, when you're like, this tried to be the best movie in the world, and they're like, the best movie in the world.
Right.
And you're like, that's not what we said.
Ballotready.com is a resource. I just saw you message. I didn't know if we were allowed to like put out any names, but that's a good one. That's a very good one.
Ballotready.org. Excuse me. We've been flapping around because but if you type in .com, it goes to .org anyway. But ballotready.org is an organization that we're working with that has all of the candidates and referendums throughout the country explained. And you can look it up on your phone. You can have a ballot party where you get together with friends over Zoom or whoever you're potting with right now. And it's unbelievable. It's not quite complete. I think in about 3 more days, they should have everything, but it's an amazing resource. You just type in your address and it will get you started with so much information. And another great resource is to think about the things that are important to you. And this will be a question that we will be asking Jesse in a minute, but what's important to you? Like what things do you support with your donations and things like that, or that are in alignment with your values? And then go to those places. For me, I'm a woman and I vote. So the League of Women Voters is somebody that I'm going to look at. I'm not going to just use them. I'm going to look at other sources as well and kind of, triangulate what kind of jumps out to me, what seems to be consistent about a certain candidate. And then, you can talk to your friends and family. We really recommend that you get together. And so if you're all like, we're here in Los Angeles, we have insane ballots that are like this length of my arm. And so instead of each person doing all the research a million different times, why not break it up between your friends and be like, hey, you look at this ballot initiative, you look at these candidates, let's, have a cocktail if you're of age, or have a refreshing lemonade or whatever, and we'll get back to, we'll kind of circle back in 30 minutes. And you don't have to reach consensus. You just have to bring facts forward so that people can make educated decisions, because that's what's important. It's not partisan. It's about taking this responsibility that you have seriously and putting some effort into it, because this is our chance to help steer this country. And especially on local and state levels, you're going to see results. These even in a lot of races, you'll see it come down to 2,000 votes, 600 votes, 6 votes. So it's really important. So that is kind of the pinned comment for the day. The action is to do your research, make a plan, and that's the other thing that we talk a lot about, is make your voter plan now, because if you've been paying attention to what's been going on, everything is crazy. Everything is changing all the time. You're voting by mail, you're voting in person, you're going to a ballot box, you're sending it by carrier pigeon. Stay on top of that stuff, check with your registrar's office and find out what you need to bring. Bring a sweater, bring a chair, bring a friend, take Uber if you don't want to deal with parking. Find out, confirm that you're on the rolls, because that's important, even right up to the last minute. And then just how you're going to get there, and who you can go with or encourage to go with you.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot more fun too.
There are, just as a reminder, I'm sure this is something that you've gone over in previous weeks, but just as a reminder to everyone, you can go to your state's website, even your local county, and just go and see in their voter registration area, if you're registered, where your voting place is, where your polling place is. You can get all the information imaginable when it comes to all the down ballot things, because right now, obviously everyone's thinking about presidential election, but there's so many other things that you're going to see on a ballot, from school board issues to, now as we talk about more, I know there's several states that are talking about the legalization of certain drugs, to there are states that are dealing with all sorts of different major issues, that everything from taxes to changing up housing regulation to business. And it's most, I'm going to say all, but I'll say most, but most state websites have all the information about what a yes or a no vote means, right? So when you get into the booth and it says, okay, here's what you're voting on, what the yes or no vote is. Because sometimes it seems like you read what the issue is, and then you're like, wait a minute, so do I want to vote yes or do I want to vote no? Because it can be confusing sometimes. And so having the information going in and knowing what it means is key. And there's a lot of that. And it just comes down to doing research, which is, it sounds like a pain. And sometimes it takes time. But it is an important civic duty to go vote and be a part of this, because you are the reason things change in the future. And you are the active change agent. And so use that power responsibly, or lose it, essentially. It's really as simple as it is.
And it's so important to vote consistently, because it's not going to happen just because you walked in one time and pulled a lever or punched a card. It's about a way of things take time to get the results you want. So even if things don't go your way in a particular election, you've got to stay, keep going back. And and I will just say too, it's great to do your research in advance, because I don't know about you, but I get nervous when I go to the booth. Like I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna make a mistake. Like we have the little inky pressy things here, and I'm so sure that like they're trying to trick me, and that I'm like, what is the thing clicked in right? And so it's great for me. I literally will have like my book open that I've marked everything in advance, and I'll be like, is this one? Yeah, okay. And I'm sure the people behind me are like, lady, you already have your stuff marked. But it can be a little bit stressful. You just get a little flustered. And if you do make a mistake, you can always just turn it in, and be like, I screwed up. Can I just jump back in there? Thank you so much. But and Lil Zebra _M has a great point here. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a lot of non-US people watching this stream, and the US election as well. Who's elected won't affect the US only, but most of the world. And that is totally true. And it's an excellent point, because people will say if you're not American and you're not of voting age that you can't participate, and that is not true, because you can donate money to candidates that you support. You can write letters. You can reach out to the people that represent you if you're under 18 and tell them that you are a pre-voter and that you're paying attention now and that you're gonna be voting and this is what you want to see. You can tell them that you're pissed because of the way that the world is right now and what's being left to you guys. And so, you know, use your powers for good and be resourceful. Think about what it is that you have. It's not just a vote. It's conversations. It's, you know, researching, talking to people, putting your money where your mouth is, writing letters, and being of assistance. You know, if you live here and you can't vote, maybe you can help somebody get to the polls. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do. And if you have questions about what you can do, you can also reach out to us at nerdsvote@gmail.com. If you have problems or questions, we also have Ivy, who is our amazing social media director, who is in the chat right now, Ivy and the Spooky Kids. And she is a great resource if you have questions right now. Let's see. Yes, and in Australia, it is compulsory to vote once you turn 18.
Man, I don't even look. I'm still about this. Like, let's have a voting holiday, but I don't know why it drives me crazy that's not a thing. It makes me so upset that we don't have the day off.
You know, you gotta get, like, we gotta tell people about this. I put my representatives on speed dial in my phone, and they hear from me all the freaking time. I have an idea. I have some feedback. So you know what? November 4th, November 5th, after you're done doing whatever you're going to do on those days, start calling and being like, hey, we need a national holiday. Put this forward. Let's do it. Because, you know, it's also, you can hit up the people that you think are doing a good job. You can still tell them the other stuff you want them to do. Mm-hmm. Right?
If I were you, I would have like 8 or 9 phones and call with different voices and just be a different person every time. That's what if I were you, that's what I would do.
I may have done that. And I may have in person. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. It is a great acting exercise, because I do sometimes just like to call and pretend I'm just a different person. I mean, I'm saying that I'm me, but I might have a different accent, or I might be a different age. You know, these are the ways that voice actors entertain themselves.
It sounds great. I love it. It sounds great.
So you are trapped in a soundproof area of your house, it looks like,
yep.
Which is obviously where you do. So you're a little bit, I mean, I think most people know who you are, but you do a little bit of everything. I was super excited to see you've done some voice acting, as well as all of your
not even good, but yeah, you know, I dabble. I do things that entertain me and make me laugh. So unfortunately, that means I don't stick to anything too long, and I kind of move around to things that I'm like, well, I'm obsessed with this thing, or I think this thing's amazing. So I get caught up in like moments where I'm like, oh, I want to do this now. And so I'll go 100% on something. I'll do it and be like, all right, what next? And so it just puts me all over the place.
What are you doing? So obviously, you know, we're pretty much stuck at home. And it must not be that big of a transition for me, because you cast from your house, yeah?
Yeah, we were at an office, myself and my little ragtag team. And then we've had to stay home, so I've really just been here by myself for way too long. But I'm a single child, so talking to myself comes easy and naturally. And
I started doing some voiceover.
And so I was like, all right, I will just kind of, do my normal work and come up with new fun things to work on and do. And what ended up happening is staying at home, I now do twice as much as I was doing before. It's crazy. I have a problem where I keep saying yes to things. And people are like, do you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'll just do it. And then I look at my schedule for the week and I'm completely packed with things. And I'm like, how did this happen? Which I guess is a blessing, really, truly. I'm just overwhelmed by it. And so, yeah, right now we are working on another video game. This time I wanted to do an FMV game because I'm obsessed with FMV games. So I wanted to do like an old school kind of B-acted FMV game. We're working on that. And, Monster Prom 2's chugging along, and that'll be out soon. And making videos and creating new shows and doing all sorts of stuff and, making pitches, just trying my hardest to come up with fun things. And it's a blessing to have this much work. I'll say that.
Are you doing stuff that isn't like, we've had a lot of people on the show who are like, obviously they have kids or whatever, but there's also people like me who are just eating, cooking, like I am a terrible cook, but I actually, like, I got on the baking train. I know how to make some bread and stuff like that. And it's now completely dissolved into just me constantly grazing, just eating snack foods. But I mean, is there something like, have you taken up ukulele? Have you like, are you knitting? Are you?
No,
bread recipe.
So
when are you gonna finish Skyrim, Jesse?
I've never beaten that game. I couldn't tell you how it ended. Couldn't tell you. I got lost following foxes around, and 100 some episodes later was like, I guess I should move on. I don't know how it ends. I don't know how that game ends. No,
I feel like there's a theme here in your life. Shiny thing. Shiny thing. Yes. Yes. Shiny thing.
Yes. I'm that dog that's like, squirrel. Yeah, I'm that. That's me. Mm-hmm. I think I'm one of those people that, and this is probably for the best. When everything kind of shut down, I was like, okay, well, I'll be stuck inside for a while. I don't want to, like, I don't know what the rules are. This is way back in May. I was like, I don't know what the rules are about going outside. Like, I don't know what I should be doing. So I ordered like some exercise equipment stuff for my house, my apartment. And so I've just been here trying to, get a little fitter as we all get stuck inside, because I have so much energy and I'm just like every day freaking out. And earlier in this pandemic stuff, I couldn't even explain to you my sleep cycle. I would get 3 hours of sleep a night and wake up and be like jazzed to do a thing. And then during the day, I'd be like, oh my God, what's up? And I realized like I was just messed up. And I think it's because I had so much excess energy from just being indoors doing nothing that I was like, I got to do something. So that was my sort of outlet for it. And so I've been working on that and trying to, when we're all allowed to, see each other again, be like, oh, hey, what's going on? It's me. And,
Can you imagine what you're going to be like when we can see each other again?
Well, you're just going to have to, I'm going to have to like politely be like, look, I mean, I know, I'm aware, and it'll be great. Yeah.
You're going to be like, I have more things to do because now I have to see everybody I haven't seen for the last like 10 months or whatever. So you're going to have 50 million things that you're working on, plus like brunch, drinks, all the things that we do in LA.
Well, that's my I made like a solid life objective choice over the last few months to be like, I want to get to the point where I can make the time to hang out with people and do things, rather than just like, well, hey, I mean, we're going to be in a video together, so it's like we're hanging out, right? That sucks. The more I think about that, the more I'm like, that was mostly my life for a few years. Like, I'll see you Thursday when we film, so like, whatever.
Right. Well, now we're so sick of Zoom calls and all of this stuff that I'm literally going to be like, I'm going to sit in your lap at brunch. Like, just, I'm never going to take anything and I'm gonna forget this, I know, and then I'm gonna be like, I don't really want to go out. But like for the first month, I'm gonna be super
Yeah,
joyous, and then
I
being
I'm with
like,
you on that. I already have a list of like, all right, here's things I want to do and people I want to see.
yep.
I'm ready.
We might be more. I think Cougar 335 says it feels more and more like ADHD. Possibly. Why do you ask? Um, uh, yes, I have
Maybe.
lists and ping, 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 and also I have exercise equipment that's just sitting here. I don't know why.
Well, look, this is one of those things like if the internet's Jesse Cox can do it, you can do it too.
I know. You know what? I'm gonna start calling you, and I'm gonna be like, we're gonna do. I don't know, like if you're rowing or running or whatever, but I'll bike alongside you. It'll be amazing.
Cool.
Yeah,
Great.
it'll be so good. Somebody in the chat uh, had a great question. Michael, it looks like Desjardins. How would you convince
Ooh.
friends that hate both candidates to still vote?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If you hate both candidates, there are more than just two candidates running for office um, across the spectrum of political offices, right? Voting is more than just voting for the two presidential candidates. Voting is a lot of things. There are state elections. I'm going to be real with you. I know everyone's in on this presidential thing because it is like big, right? Presidential elections are always huge. But real change on your local level happens by the people that are your town supervisors or your, the judges and sheriffs and all the people in the town that you actively engage with. Those are the people who make a lot of the things that affect your day-to-day life. And so those, if you don't like the two candidates at the top, there are plenty of other people that you may very well like that you should be voting for. And again, that comes down to research. There's more happening than just, who the president is. There are senators and governors and state legislators and all sorts of different people.
Judges.
Yeah. There's so many different people that you can vote for and decide who runs your day-to-day, workings in government. I think it should be said that, everyone assumes that we have, like, what we have is a democracy. This is my, history moment. I'm very excited. History moment. People think, well, we're in a democracy. A democracy would be like in ancient Greece and Athens when they were like, all right, so we're going to randomly select a bunch of you to come down and just say whatever you think and we'll vote on stuff. And we have a representative democracy, representative republic, where we select someone to go and represent our thoughts on things for us. And so we don't deal with the day-to-day judgment calls on politics. We pick a person to go do that for us. And if you're not involved in the picking of that, they aren't going to be interested in what you have to say, right? The average politician is there to represent the people that voted them into the office most of the time. And so they're going to go there with their idea of what they think the people that voted for them want. And so if you're not voting, most of the time, like a local politician, for example, is trying to think of what will the people who voted me in the office, what do they want from me? And, if you don't make your voice heard, they won't know what you want.
Yeah. And I feel like at this point, I mean, yes, it's going to come down to two people head to head for the presidency. And I think that anything beyond that, this is just my personal opinion, but anything beyond that is like Kanye Schmanye. Like that ain't helping anybody. So don't. This is real. I mean, this election is coming. There are some major things in play right now. And I think if you hate each candidate equally, you probably haven't done enough research, because it's very difficult if you've done adequate research to go, okay, this is their, I just, like my neighbor across the street, she's like, I hate both of them. And I was like, do you though? I feel like there's an issue somewhere that you can hang your hat on, preferably several, because I'm not really big on single issue voters, but no one is going to be perfect. No one is getting their first choice. It's like your parents. Like, you love them, but like, Did you get the like, the cleavers? No. And I'm dating myself. That's Leave It to Beaver, kids. Look it up. Um, you don't get that. You get what, something, a person who is flawed, a person whose policies you may not agree with across the board. I think that's really important to understand, because you're going to have friends that you don't totally agree with on everything as well. Just like in any other part, it's not a perfect science. It's not a perfect candidate, right? But there's going to be some things that are going to be, if you have kids in public school, if you are a woman and you're concerned about reproductive rights, if you are somebody who is interested in housing or infrastructure or foreign policy, trade, things like that. These are things that are overwhelmingly, you need to have opinions on. If you haven't done the research, you can go and look. And when you do make an opinion, you will find a candidate that will be more in alignment with what you think. So please do the research. Don't throw your vote away. Make this is an important election. And if you need help figuring out who the person is that you are going to vote for, there's tons of resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm one of those dreaded single issue voters, but my single issue is like always and will consistently be climate change. I feel like that is a thing that affects everything else. And because, I live in California, I see it happening right now, where it is, from the fires to just droughts, and it's you can see the world changing around us, and I think we need to focus more on that as a big issue. Also because it really affects predominantly the people who can't afford to have it affect them. It affects the poorest among us the most. And so, I think that it's one of those things that I'm always just like, where do you stand on this issue? Because for me, that's one of the biggest things. Because
yes,
I would
say you're probably not a single issue voter. That is your most important issue, and that is what you're going to hang your hat on, which is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, find that issue that is like your thing, that resonates with you, right? And go with that candidate that is going to turn, and it's not going to be perfect, but who you believe is going to turn the direction that you would like to go in. This is not about fixing everything right away. And there are lots of issues that, it's very rare to find an issue that doesn't affect anything else but that issue.
Sure.
So
and really, truly, voting is not a one-day thing, right? I think we all have this thing in our mind where it's like, all right, the guy I wanted, or woman I wanted, won. And go do it, everyone. Like, we did it. And like, let's go back to our lives. It is now incumbent upon you, if you picked a person and they're supposed to represent you, if they aren't representing you the way you want, you have to be on them. Like, you said you would go in there and do this, and you're not doing it. What's the matter? That is exactly what being in this country should be, is every day just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you working right now?
Keep people accountable. If you don't like the fact that the Senate takes these huge holidays, start telling them, start talking to the Senate Majority Leader, send your opinions, however you do it, by text. There's never been more ways to get a hold of your representative than there are right now. There's a direct line. You can talk at them on Twitter. I mean, sometimes they don't answer, but sometimes they do, and it depends on what you're talking about. I have talked to people in my local, my local representatives. You can get your opinion across, and it is important, no matter what, whether they're doing a bad job, whether they're doing a good job, keep them accountable, let them know what you want. Yep. It's like being an actor and an agent. The agent,
that's true.
Like, it's a partnership, right? And you have to make sure that both people are doing work in order for everyone to get paid. So it's really important. Make a choice. Make an educated choice. But don't, too many people have fought really, really hard for the right to vote, and don't throw it away. It's the least we can do in the least that we can do. If we live 24 hours a day, 365 days a year as Americans or people who live in this country, it's the least you can do is put a few hours in. And like, you wouldn't want your doctor to just be like, I haven't brushed up on things in 30 years. You know, like, you want continuing education.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Continuing education, continuing to just engage, because this is your country and this is your life in this country. It's worth doing the work.
Going back to what you're saying about, just the two candidates, if you are unable to convince someone, I think you're totally right on the money. If someone's just like, I can't tell the difference between the two, then you're right. No research has actually been done. It's just been like, there's so much noise and I don't know what to believe. And this one said this and this one said that. And it's like, okay, ignore all that for a hot minute. There are drastic differences. They're two totally opposite political viewpoints here. And you have to agree with one, right? And you can't just be like, well, I don't like the man. Well, jeez, we don't often like the people that are in charge, but that's like, it happens sometimes. And so, I think this is one of those times where just because it's going to be such a big election, that you owe it to yourself to not only be involved with it, but be involved in a level that is a little higher than what normally you would do for an election. Because a lot of time people are like, I think I'll go vote today. I feel like this year, just a heads up, I feel like this year is going to be one of those, you're going to go and wait for a few hours, bring a snack, maybe a bottle of water, like, be prepared to wait in the line, because this is going to be one of those times where a lot of people have a lot they want to say, and the way they can say it is by going and voting.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to be a poll worker. Well, I shouldn't say that, because they haven't gotten back to me yet. So they might have burned me and just been like, nah, we don't want her. They probably saw, because I have a dinosaur costume that I want to wear. And so maybe they heard about it and they were like, yeah, she's not showing up as the T-Rex. So maybe I won't get to be a poll worker, but I applied to be a poll worker. And so if I don't, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go vote, and then I'm going to go drive around and I'm going to hand out water bottles and snacks to people, because I want people to stay in line. There's just, like, this is an opportunity to have some community. Everybody's doing the thing that you're supposed to do as an American. Like, make it, if you have the day off, like I probably will. Oh, the life of an actor. Like, find something to, help people get to the polls, help entertain people at the polls. Dress up in an inflatable T-Rex outfit and entertain people with a boombox. Do you know what a boombox is? I'm dating myself. Look it up, kid.
Listen to your favorite Leave It to Beaver soundtrack moments on your boombox, kids.
Exactly, on your boombox. Oh, wow. You're amazing. Like, I cannot believe, I could just sit here and talk to you forever, because I just looked up and I'm like, oh, we only have like 5 minutes. So, and I have to.
What do we do?
No, I know. I have questions for you.
Okay.
And, but I just want to make sure that Funk Master Chung.
I'm sorry. What?
Funk Master Chung. Best practices to make sure your ballot gets counted. Well, that depends on where you live.
Yeah, it does.
There is first of all, if you have any questions about or concerns about voting, put 866 our vote in your phone right now. 866 our vote. If on voting day you have any issues or in finding where you're supposed to drop it off, you can call 866 our vote and they will help you. I would make sure that you pay attention to what is going on in your locale, what the rules are. Make sure that if you need to bring ID, that you bring ID. If absentee ballots, you gotta apply. If the deadline hasn't passed yet, then apply now. Get them now. Get them in when you get them in the mail quickly, because we have all experienced the mail slowdown already. So that's happening. So guard this vote. again, be educated and guard the vote with your life. And find out from your registrar's office. You can look at the Secretary of State has a website as well. You can punch in your locale and they will give you information. But just plan in advance and get it in as fast as you can if you're doing absentee. Make sure that you look at everything I would say black pen. Just always go with black pen. Sometimes it says black and blue. Somebody said that, and then the registrar's office said it had to be black. There's been some issues like that, but just make sure that you go through all of the steps, confirm them all, be careful about it. And I mean, honestly, I take a little photo of my, ballot that I put it in the mail, whatever. I mean, I'm crazy enough that I was like, I'm going to put tracking on it. I'm going to make sure. I'm going to make someone sign for it. But
most states' websites, if you mail in early and you get it done immediately, they will have something on their website in the voter registration section where you can look up your information that will track if they got it or not. If
like
you're
a
voting,
pizza.
yeah, and if you're voting day of, usually you'll get some sort of receipt that will have kind of a here's what you voted. And so you at least have that, some sort of paper record of what you did. And then hopefully within a day or two, it will show up and be there. But, you have at least something that says, I was there, I did this, so my vote does count. And,
Be mindful as well that it is not about getting your mail-in ballot in by November 3rd. It has to be received by November 3rd. So I just want to underscore again, get those in as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And Ivy again is still in the chat. So she can also help you if you have any questions in particular about your.
Oh, weird Georgia. I have thoughts on that. I have thoughts on
Yes.
it seems like your voting system is just stacked against people who want to vote. I have
Isn't
thoughts.
that weird? Yes. Isn't that strange?
It seems like that, huh? Yeah, weird.
Hello, Mr. Fartface.
Hello. Oh, you meant the guy, not me. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, my
I thought
God.
that today I become.
I would never just call you Fartface. I'm having an issue with my screen. What's happening? Okay. Ivy says, also carefully fill out the absentee ballot and verify that the ballot to make sure that it's yours. Yes.
And make sure to sign everything that needs to be signed. And,
Yes.
It helps to go over it once more. After you're done, you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
Go back through it just to make sure.
Yeah. Mistakes will get your ballot checked. We're about to run out of time. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. I have so many questions still. I want to know, very quickly, we already answered it. Your main issue and what you're going to the ballot for is, it's 2 minutes, is climate change.
Yeah.
The environment. All of this stuff is very important. So is there a particular group that you support in these endeavors?
Oh man, I have for a while been donating to everything from the ACLU to everything from I do a lot of donations to just like climate research. I do a lot of donating to just everything from Make-A-Wish to I'm big on supporting what I can when I can, because I am under the belief that my job is some sort of weird fluke, and making money playing video games is like crazy. And so I should be real thankful that I get to do this and to, share some of the love with others, because, I'm very thankful. This is what I get to do with my life.
Well, we are thankful as well. I am so happy that you came on the show. Please do come back. I would love to hear more. If you guys have any questions, we are nerdsvote.com. You can go there, you can get swag, you can donate, get the t-shirts that people are talking about. And this is Jesse Cox. You can find him. Please tell them it's just Jesse Cox on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's Jesse Cox on YouTube, it's Jesse Cox everywhere but Instagram. It's Notorious COX, because it was taken. So there you go.
Please sign us off with a little vote reminder, and we're out of here.
Hey, if you would be so kind as to take time to either apply to get a ballot or right now go and see where you can vote. Oh, we're running out of time. Go vote on November 3rd. It's